Now, before you heard the sound, now. How many of you still feel that you have to find something? Huh? You have to find something? Still waiting to find something? Okay. How many of you feel like you found it or you keep finding it but you keep losing it? Yeah? Oh, here also. Yes. But that which comes and goes is not real, no? That is the Vedanta 101, first lesson of Vedanta, isn't it? That if you are going to define reality in some way, then that which comes and goes cannot be real. So if it came, it had to go, and therefore it was just part of the phenomenal appearance. So, what are we waiting for? And if you got it, how would you know that you got it? You see? Because all of you apparently are aware of the concept that the discovery is not phenomenal, isn't it? And if the discovery is not phenomenal, then how would you recognize it? Huh? Sorry, I'm starting on this note, but I feel like good to clarify right off the bat, no? So the expectations are clear from both sides. So for those of you who feel like you had it and then you lost it, that which you had, you see, if it was not a phenomenal experience, how could it go? Because only phenomena comes and goes. You see? So are you associating the byproducts of this discovery, which could be some sense of peace or bliss or joy or love or even like a feeling of phenomenal spaciousness? Are you associating that with the capital T truth that we speak about? And in that way, in one way or the other, we continue to remain chasing experiences, experience chasers, where actually our claim is that we are searching for the truth. So, let me ask you one more difficult question and then I'll stop. If you were to follow me, but I was to tell you you're going to get nowhere, it is pointless. There is no point coming to satsang, you see, because you are not going to get anywhere if you follow me. How many of you would say, okay, bye bye, we're done? You see? It is easy to follow when there's an expectation that I'm going to get somewhere. You see? For that, we need no devotion. You see? Devotion really, in the truest sense, implies that I'm going to follow the direction of the master with no expectation of even getting somewhere. You see? And actually, where I'm pointing you to is not even nowhere. You see? Not even nowhere you're going to get. How many of you still want to stick around? You see? Under the promise of or the expectation of the carrot of enlightenment or freedom, you see, then we'll follow easily. There's no trouble, right? Because we've been promised the greatest thing in the universe. Why will we not follow? You see? But the thing is that your idea of enlightenment, your idea of freedom is getting in your way. It may be a construct of some experience or some idea that you may have about it, which is just impeding the simplest discovery that was ever made. You see? We're searching all over the world to find ourselves. Isn't that a great strangeness? We're searching all over the world to find ourselves. Satsang to satsang, master to master, finding, hoping to hear one day something which will bring us to ourselves. You see? I'm not saying, by the way, that you must not listen to masters or follow satsang. I'm just saying that if you were to find yourself, how would you know it? What in you has the ability to make a non phenomenal discovery? You see? So, if the truth is not phenomenal and it does not come and go, then will your eyes find it? Will your ears hear it? Will your nose smell it? Any of the senses, can they experience it? Even your inner perception, through which you can imagine and think about the past and imagine the future, does that have the capacity, the inner perception, to perceive the non phenomenal? Like you can close your eyes and imagine a tree or a forest or a butterfly or whatever you like. But can you imagine a non phenomenal? You cannot do it. So there's a simpler knowing which all of you have and you can never lose. And all that the master is pointing you to is that. What is that knowing which you can never lose? And don't go to something you just heard from the mouth of any master. Look completely fresh, not in your mind, not that type of knowing, not in your perception, but that which is independent of either of these. You see? That self knowledge, that awareness of the self, independent of even the play of waking and sleeping. I woke up for that for which I am wakes up and I am goes back to sleep. That which is aware of both of these. Don't you know that one? Is it not you? You see? You cannot grasp at it. You cannot try. You cannot think your way through it or to it. You cannot use your attention, look, or look to find it. Independent of all of that, that which does not come and go. effortlessly your truths. How many of you feel now it is apparent to you right now in this moment? And if it's not, it's not. It's okay. Good, good. Okay. You see? Now, instead of trying to keep it, you see, try to lose it. Lose self knowledge. Don't know yourself. It would mean that when you're hearing this voice, you're not clear about who's hearing it. Am I hearing it? Is someone else hearing it? But isn't it obvious that I am hearing it? You see? So, what are we looking for? If it is clear that I am aware of these perceptions, and it is also clear that this I that is aware is shapeless, it is sizeless, it is birthless, it is deathless, then what is the struggle about? You see? I feel most of the struggle, if not all of it, is about not about the I, it is about what the me will get in the discovery of the I. What is the benefit to the me if I find I? You have a sense of what I'm saying? It is like a egoic desire of the fulfillment of the self discovery, so that this limited idea of myself can always be in a particular state or something like that. That is why we find it most difficult to engage with the simplest question that I ask. Is it? What is the simplest question that I ask? I just ask you, how do you know that it is you that is perceiving this hand? Is it? It's clear to you it is you. Anyone who is not clear that it is you perceiving the hand, you have heard too much Advaita. You see? You may say, I don't know who that I is, but it is I. That much is apparent, at least, isn't it? You may say, I'm so confused because I don't have a picture of this I can't find it. You see? But even that, you're claiming an I, which is so obvious to you. Even when you say, I can't find it, you're claiming an I, which is so obvious, it cannot be lost. When you say, I have found it at times and I have lost it, you see, is it the same I that found and lost? You see, so it came to this I and it was lost to this I. Did this I ever come and go? You see, that is the main point, isn't it? Now, what is the struggle? The struggle is that you can't see it, no? You can't perceive it. But if you were to perceive it, then it would be another phenomena and it would also come and go. You see, that is the struggle. The struggle is also that you can't conceptualize it. So, what is it? What is it? You see, I want to be able to define it, and you can't define it. That is the struggle. But none of you have ever lost the self. You cannot lose it if you tried, because you would have to be there to lose it. But I'm not just making intellectual conclusions.